Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of my team selector ahead of the game away to Man United tomorrow in the Premier League. It's a massive game, obviously, for both sides. I think for both sides, critical period in the season, even though it still is early, because there is a feeling at the moment, the unpredictability in the Premier League, how erratic it is, how no real established side at the top has really made a claim that they could win the Premier League title this year. It feels quite open at the moment, and it's really up there for one of those teams, potentially an unexpected team, to make a charge for the title very early on in the season. So it's a big game, and I think for both sides, whoever, if there was a winner tomorrow night, I think it would really give them such a confidence boost going into sort of the bulk of the season as we get into these harsh winter months. But before we get into any of that, my predicted 11, all that good stuff, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit the like button if you're enjoying the content, because it helps out the channel as well. So team news from Frank's press conference. Kepa is the only player out with shoulder injury, so he won't be travelling to Manchester tomorrow, but also Billy Gilmour's still recovering. But other than that, it seems pretty much like the first team, at least the bulk, nearly all the first team that played the other night is fit, which is like a miracle, because as a Chelsea fan under Lampard, it's been so rare we've seen almost a fully fit squad, which is incredible. I know obviously Gilmour, Kepa not ready for this game, but that's a positive, and I think it helps Lampard in terms of really starting to gel the team, mould the team in his vision, and getting some consistency in some key areas. So hopefully we'll see that bear fruit tomorrow in terms of his team selection, which we'll get into and what I think should be the team. But going into some stats about this game, Man United versus Chelsea. We played 4 times last season. Man United winning 3, both in the Premier League. Chelsea winning the last encounter, though, in the FA Cup semi-final 3-1. Both sides finished on the same number of points in 90-20. Man United just finishing third on goal difference. Chelsea have not won a Premier League game at Old Trafford since April 2013, when Frank Lampard was captaining the side and Juan Mata scored the winner. How times change. Also, Sir Alex was still United manager, just about to retire. Since then, there's been 3 draws for Chelsea and 3 defeats, so Man United winning 3 encounters too. United won their last 2 games, impressively beating PSG on Tuesday in the Champions League, though they lost their last home league game 6-1 to Spurs. It's been shared between wins and defeats in Man United's first 4 Premier League games, 2 wins, 2 defeats. They're yet to win at home this season. I was intrigued by Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's sort of approach to PSG, because he switched from the 4-2-3-1 that he played so far this season for all the games to a 3-5-2, which was a predominant formation for them last season and really worked effectively against Chelsea. He used it again against us in the FA Cup semi-final after I believe he'd gone to a fullback system. And of course Chelsea and I think Lampard had figured it out by then and matched him up in terms of a 3-4-3 system, which really worked well for Chelsea that day. I'm intrigued to see how this works in terms of Chelsea and Lampard maybe surprising us, which I could sort of understand. You know, Frank likes to be flexible, and he may see the way the 3-back system for us worked out last time against Man United, but I'd still lean in the direction that I think he'll be sticking with the 4-2-3-1, which he's used so far this season. But I believe that Solskjaer will stick with the 3-5-2 because it works so well for him. Got his best win of the season on Tuesday. It's going to be such a confidence boost for them. And I also think, as you see my screenshot here, I think this could be the team he plays. I think the big thing is Mason Greenwood could be available, Edison Cavani and Harry Maguire could be available too. So all 3 of those players potentially could be in this team. But I still think, I think Pogba will come back into the team for Man United. I'd be stunned if for a big game he isn't in the game. And of course, Bruno Fernandes and Marcus Rashford. I mean, that's the big danger for me of this game. Rashford loves scoring against Chelsea. He seems to always score against us. I think it's good that Anthony Martial is still suspended for this game, and he scored both times against us in the Premier League last season. But still, the runs Rashford makes are so hard to defend against, and they're the sort of runs that split defences apart, the pace, also the intelligence of Rashford's runs, and also the passing of Bruno Fernandes. And it's always likely Man United are going to win a penalty throughout a game, so Mendy's going to have to be on his fine form. So you got to watch out for that as well. But let's go into my team. How do I think Chelsea are going to set up? As I stated, I think a 3-4-3 could be used, but I'm still going to go for the 4-2-3-1 because, as I've stated, I think it's important that Lampard starts to build a back 4, back 5. So I think that's important. So in goal, obviously, Edouard, Lampard. Mendy had an impressive night against Sevilla. 2 out of 3 clean sheets in his first 3 starts for Chelsea, which is good. So let's hope he can continue that tomorrow night. Back 4, this is the big debate for me. Reece James or Cesar Azpilicueta. I don't think either player is, I think, out of contention for this game. I think both players have a reason they could start this game. I'm just going to go towards Reece James because he did feature the other night in that very stable back 4. I think in terms of Dave being a big game player, being the club captain, 1v1 defending, experience and nous in big games, I wouldn't be stunned if Dave starts. I also think if Dave starts, as I'll get to in my midfield, I think that could mean another midfielder could play because Lampard will want to play either his captain or his vice captain. I can't see both of them sitting out this game. But I'm just going to edge towards Reece James because I think it could be a big night for him tomorrow if he does start. Obviously, the centre-back partnership, absolutely the same. Thiago Silva, Kurt Zouma. Ben Chilwell's been incredible so far this season for Chelsea. Let's hope he has a big night tomorrow at Old Trafford. The midfield too, I think if Reece James starts, I think Jorginho starts in midfield. I cannot see a situation where neither Dave or Georgie start because I think Frank will want one of those players starting in the team. And Georgie started so many games so far this season. I was leaning in the direction of Kovacic because I think he looked really good the other night. He looked really sharp and he could add that sort of element of connecting. If we're going to sit a little bit deeper in this game like we did the other night, connecting defence to midfield to attack, which Kovacic is good at, sort of running, breaking the press, I think that's important for him. But I still think Jorginho is a senior player in this squad and Lampard seems to be favouring him a lot. And he did create an assist, a brilliant assist for Timo Werner last week against Southampton. So I think Georgie will start, obviously, alongside N'Golo Kante as well. It's just that case, obviously, a balance at the moment. And what is Frank's approach to this game? You know, being overrun, the threat of being overrun in midfield. But also, like the other night, if we're sitting a little bit deeper, how are we going to connect to the front line and get our attackers in the game? I'm going to go with Hakim Ziyech at right wing. I think this is a bit of a risk because his fitness still seems to be up in the air. It would be his first start of the season for Chelsea. His full debut for Chelsea, in truth, starting against Man United at Old Trafford. What a big debut that would be, full debut in the Premier League. This may mean he only gets 60 to 65 minutes, but I'd like to see it because I think he could offer that sort of middle ground of being a creator that likes to drift centrally, adds that danger, and I'd love to see him start. I think it would be a big thing for Chelsea on that right, especially with Reece James. That's something fans are craving for this season, so it'd be an amazing game to start Hakim Ziyech, and I think he's desperate maybe to start the game, so let's hope he could be ready to start this game because I'd like to see it. Obviously, number 10, Kai Havertz, first Premier League goal last week. I think it's about getting him more touches in between the lines because I think he got a few touches against Sevilla, but not in the right areas, especially against Southampton in that first half and the goal he scored. Getting him in those areas is so important, and that's the big thing for Chelsea. Really getting Kai in the right areas to make a big impact, and it's between the lines. And as I say, that's about our sort of bravery in the middle of the park, but also our ability to get the ball from deep towards Kai, and hopefully he can do his damage tomorrow night and really run at that back line, because although they had a good night the other night, United, if Maguire's playing, that's where you want to exploit and try and get our attackers running at him. Obviously, Christian Pulisic on the left. As I say, I'm sure there'll be many comments saying Mason Mount could play. Of course, Mason Mount can play. You know, Mount is probably Frank Lampard's most used player. You know, he's a player that Frank trusts a lot, but I just think Mount looks either worn out at the moment, and I just don't think it's benefiting his game at the moment playing on the right or the left. I think Pulisic, there is this concern of playing Pulisic on the left because of the striker you're playing, obviously Timo Werner. Just to put up there, obviously Timo Werner starting this game as well, of them making similar runs and them sort of getting in the way of each other. But I still think at brief moments the other night we saw Pulisic still getting into good areas when he did briefly shift onto the left. I want to see Pulisic on the left because I think he's fit enough now to start games, obviously, and I'm just a bit stunned if that continues. Mason Mount on the left and Pulisic on the right. I don't think it helps either of those players' games, and I think Pulisic needs to get in the first team now because I think he's such a big player for us this season. Really, once again, running and testing that Man United defence, giving them a lot of problems, running in between the lines, off the ball runs for, say, Jorginho to find. So that's a big thing for the game for me. And of course, obviously, I said this already, Timo Werner up top. Scored 2 goals, had an amazing game, amazing first half. Just amazing game. Obviously set up the third goal for Kai as well against Southampton, but was isolated the other night. And this is the issue for me in terms of if, say, Man United press us a little bit higher. I'm not sure if they will because Solskjaer is quite a reactive manager. He's shown in big games a lot of the time he likes to sit his team a little bit deeper, rely on the pace of Marcus Rashford on the break, which he could do. And that's a worry for Chelsea in terms of transition. But if we do get pressed high, what's our idea? Because if you keep on hitting long balls to Timo Werner, I'd rather Olivier Giroud up there. But you want Timo Werner, right, on a game like this. But that's the issue and a big question for Frank Lampard, because you aren't going to benefit Timo's game if we're just hitting long balls just to evade a press, but it ain't going to get up there to, say, Timo to really benefit off of it like he did in the first half against Southampton last week. So that is my team selector, my lineup. Please give me your lineup in the comments below. It's a massive game. I think a win would be so huge, not only historically because we haven't won there since 2013, which in terms of football, so much has changed over that time. I think narratively for Frank Lampard having his first Premier League game at Old Trafford, that really horrible 4-0 defeat, but then coming back a year later and winning, I think there'd be a great sign of sort of progress there for Frank personally. But it's a big game. It's going to be a tough game. I'm sure Man United would be up for it, wanted to win their first home game of the season. Please let me know all of your opinions and lineups in the comments below. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter at Son of Chelsea, and I'll see you again.